Welcome back to another week and another episode of our podcast, Beyond the Sold Sign Real Estate Unplugged. We are your favorite realtors and your hosts, Lauren
and Naya.
And we just want to say thank you again for joining us for another episode because I know y'all keep wanting to come back. So thank you. We appreciate y'all. Again, these episodes are about all different people in the industry that have shared their stories with us. They are all true stories. So we just want to say thank you to those who have already submitted. And just so you know, we are not sharing any names or locations just for privacy reasons. So we're going to get into our story for the week. And we call this one Lender Mistake.
All right. So a young couple eager to purchase their first home were guided by a real estate lender who boasted about his experience in securing favorable mortgage terms for first-time buyers. As the first-time home buyers went through the loan application process, they were reassured by the lender that they had qualified for a low interest rate, making their dream of home ownership more affordable. Trusting his expertise, the couple eagerly signed the loan documents and prepared for their upcoming move. However, on the day of closing, the couple was shocked to discover a drastic difference between the promised interest rate and the one documented on the final paperwork. Instead of the low rate they had been assured of, the interest rate was significantly higher, making their monthly mortgage payments unmanageable. Feeling betrayed and financially strained, the couple confronted the lender, who admitted to a horrible miscalculation. It turned out that he had mistakenly provided them with the wrong information throughout the entire process, leading to a serious and costly error. Facing the consequences of the lender's unforgivable mistake, the couple were left with a mortgage that strained their budget and jeopardized their financial stability. The mistake was severe, and the couple had to seek legal assistance to explore potential remedies for the misleading information provided by the real estate lender. Woo-wee. This is not something to play with.
I'm so
People's finances.
What? You don't do that. This right here would have had me hot.
Yeah, like
as a realtor, as a buyer, like that's. We don't really see this happen ever. We never see this happen, and not with us anyway.
Yeah.
So if it has happened to you, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry we know the names of the couple, but we are so sorry because that should have never happened.
Never.
I
don't even know where to begin, but purchasing your home as first-time home buyers, this is the first very, very, very large purchase that you're making, and potentially the largest you'll ever make. Of course you may buy another home later on, but buying a home is probably always going to be your largest purchases in life.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And they were right to feel good about the monthly payment that they were having, something that was comfortable and within their budget. And that error took them out of their budget, strained them financially. I just cannot imagine.
No, and that should never happen, because when you are working with a lender, it's so important who you work with, because you have to be able to trust the people who are guiding you through this process. So your realtor, your lender, your inspector, your title company, your appraiser, these are people that are guiding you through this. And if one thing is out of place, it will mess up the entire transaction. As you can see, this is kind of what happened here, but this is one of the biggest things that can happen. And we always, after our buyer consultation, the very next step is to connect you with a lender. And we're connecting you with a lender that we trust. And the reason why we trust them is because they have proven time and time again to get that they have gotten our clients to the settlement table with as least amount of problems as possible and on time. So that's how you can kind of know whether or not you trust, your realtor or lender. But that's usually the next step that we take, is to introduce you to the lender. Our lenders will make sure that you are free and clear of anything that you need to do. You have your interest rate, and they provide you with paper documents, like whether it's electronic or paper, whatever. They give you proof to show your interest rate is going to be a 7% for this house. So you can see what your numbers are going to be, and it's in writing. Always get it in writing. Y'all always make sure you have a copy of what your lender is telling you, so that if this ever happens, you can go back and say, this is what you told me. This is what needs. I feel like he should have honored that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we're not leaving the table. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not leaving the table with that amount.
Not happening.
No,
there is no way. And because y'all may not know, but interest rates make a huge difference on your monthly payment.
Yeah.
So if the lender told them, hey, you have a 6% interest rate, but then they show you have a 7% interest rate,
that makes a difference.
A huge difference. And it didn't say that they didn't like lock the rate in.
Yeah.
Because one thing, if you don't know, one thing that you can do is you can lock your rate in. Let's say you're building a new construction home. Just throw that out there really quick. And your home's not going to be finished. Let's say we are in March. Your home's not going to be finished until May. So you have 2 months and you don't know if rates are going to increase or they're going to decrease. So what you can do is, if you're okay with the rate that you have now, let's say it's a 6.5%, you can lock that rate in. You may have to pay a little bit, but you can lock that rate in. And that way, if rates do increase over the next 2 months, you're okay. You're free and clear.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like this was even a rate lock situation. It just seemed as if this lender, a huge mistake, has mistakenly told these buyers, this is what your rate is going to be. And I'm thinking the entire process, a process takes about 30 days from the time you're under contract to the time you close on a house. It's a 30-day process. The lender is involved the entire time. So I feel like there is no way that you just wasn't paying attention to your job. The fact that you did not catch that entire time, something's not
right.
Something had to have been missed, because now I don't know if the realtor also asked for like a copy of the of their numbers just to see what their monthly payment's going to be. All right, y'all, a quick tip. Let me tell you a quick tip. I just gotta do a quick tip. If you are going to look at a bunch of houses and you don't know what your monthly payment is going to be, or it's like kind of on a borderline, ask your lender, or ask your realtor to ask your lender, can you please give me numbers based on this house? Because every house is different. Every county's taxes are different. Some are higher, some are lower. So that will change your monthly payment. So that's just a tip. Just make sure you
I live by that. That's my favorite thing to do, because, if your client, that you want to stay in this certain amount, you want your monthly payment to be, let's just say, $2,500. So you're right. If we are looking at this county and maybe a little bit of this county, or there's an HOA here or not here, those small little things can, play around with that budget that you're hoping to fall in. And we need to know before we go look at all these houses, is this even going to fall into the budget? So please, I'm quick to please. What are the numbers for this?
Because we're not going to
go the address, show you the numbers. Yeah, because we want to make the best of our time and working together, and not show you something that's going to be out of reach, and showing you all the options that are within what your goal budget is. So yes, I love that one.
Yeah, because if you have like a $400,000 house and the lender tells you that your interest is 6%, then you're like, oh great, I can spend the entire $400,000. That's what you're pre-approved for. You can spend it all. But if your budget or your max pre-approval is $400,000 and your interest rate is 7%, so 1% higher, you may not be able to afford $400,000. You may only be able to afford $350,000, because that interest rate is such a big deal. So that's probably why their monthly payment is now unmanageable, because they are, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably like 1%, or like a 1% gap. Like let's say their interest rate was 6%. Now it's 7%. That will 100% make it very unmanageable, because that's a big difference in rate and in monthly payment. So I feel bad for them that was the situation that they had to go through. I do feel like that they did verify some information, but I don't know that they went all the way through. But you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
As a first-time home buyer, you just don't know these things. And you, again, it matters who you work with because you are trusting the people that are guiding you through this process to really have your back and tell you like, hey, this is this, or this doesn't look right, or maybe we should double check this. And I feel like that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And even our lenders, you know, I feel like our lenders also always have our back.
Yes,
and
they
our
do.
clients' back
Yep.
and best interest. So like, you
They
know,
really do.
again, it's really important who you work with,
Mm-hmm.
and we really ensure that who we're working with, just as we have your best interest, they have your best interest. And if something is not right, or they, you know that your situation could be better with this scenario instead of this, like, we work with lenders who are advocating for you in that way too.
Right.
So yeah, this lender unfortunately just was not it.
Yeah.
And it's like even more unfortunate because it seems like they showed up to the closing table and like that's when the numbers were wrong. But like that's not what happens either, because like we are seeing documents 3 days before, we're getting that statement and all that, and checking and double checking and looking line by line to make sure numbers are right before we even get to the closing table that day. So like if something wasn't right, we weren't coming to the table that day until it was right.
Exactly.
So that's like the experience and the process that you should have. Not learning on the day
of
that like there's been some crazy change in the interest rate that is not what you were assured of.
We would not be signing.
No.
Ain't no way we'd be signing, because you receive your closing disclosure.
Yes,
You got to
the
receive
disclosure.
that 3 business days,
days
prior
before.
to you closing. So like Naya said, you have to sign it. So as a first time home buyers, you are signing that and you are kind of letting them know like, okay, I agree to these terms, or I'm not signing this. No, I don't. And if you do not sign that document 3 days before closing, you are not closing. So if it is signed a day before closing, you have to wait 2 additional days, because it's always 3 days before you close on your house. What I didn't see in here that we always, like, I feel like we live by this rule, is always getting a second opinion when it comes to lenders. Like, don't always just apply with one lender.
Yeah.
Every lender is different. We all have those lenders that we love. Trust me, we have them. We have our go-to. But we also want to make sure we are doing the responsibility of our buyer and our client. And we did it when we purchased our houses. We want to make sure that the lender is giving us because every lender is different. So we want to make sure whoever we choose, we are picking the best one for you in your specific situation. Every lender has different programs. Every lender has different rates. They have different grants. They treat you differently. So we just want to make sure that the person who you choose, we don't just give you one person, but we give you 2. And you can choose based off your conversation with them and based off what their numbers look like, and if you are comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Always shop and compare.
I know, you have to, because if you don't, you will end up in a situation like this, meaning
Yeah.
you're only going off one person and what they say. And if you don't have that second opinion sometimes, and your realtor honestly also can be a second opinion, but
Right.
we are not like we're not doing the numbers and running the numbers. We're not digging deep into your financials. We kind of leave that to the lender and say, okay, now we'll ask you maybe what your income, how much do you make? We may ask you where do you work, but they are digging so deep into your stuff that we kind of take a step back and let them do it. So when we refer people that we trust, so that we can leave it into their hands, and we trust when they come back to us with a pre-approval letter that we know it's right. And we don't have to worry about asking them questions and double checking. So always get a second opinion.
Absolutely.
What I would think. Questions, like, don't ever hesitate to ask questions. I don't know if, again, it wasn't mentioned in the story. I'm hoping that they ask questions. Maybe they didn't know what questions to ask, because again, what you don't know, you just don't know. And if you ever have, no question is stupid, regardless of what you're doing. And when it comes to buying a house, there are so many moving parts that you have to ask questions to make sure you are in the right space, because if not, you can end up like this. And when we're at the closing table, it is such an exciting time. And for you to get there and look at these numbers and everything kind of just fall apart, that's just not fair. I just feel really bad for them. So just ask questions. regardless of what it is, no question is a dumb question. Ask the questions, y'all. Like, seriously, just ask them. So yeah, that is. Do you have any more tips?
I think that's it. I love that you said, like, when you get to the closing table, that's a celebratory moment. Yes. Like, that's what we want to do at the closing table. We want to celebrate you. Don't want to run into something, any kind of era like this. No problem. So make sure that you ask questions and
by like following like these tips, I think future home buyers can likely like better protect themselves. Because we want you to do your due diligence. We want you to do your research. But I think following some of these tips can kind of help you not make any of these mistakes. And not saying that you did make a mistake as the buyer. This was 100% the lender. This is their job and they should have known that they were wrong. I think they should have corrected it. It doesn't say whether they did or not. It doesn't look like they corrected it because the buyers are now.
They said they had to strain their budget.
So I feel like that's just that's not cool. And not all lenders are like this. This is just something that happened with the lender. They're not all like this. They're not all great. They're not all bad. You just have, a pool of whatever. And that's any profession. So that's not just lender. So we just want to make sure you guys have a smooth process and very seamless. And we make sure we strive for that every time we work with a home buyer. So we just wanted to give y'all those tips. And just say thank you. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap for another week and another episode. So we just want to say again, thank you guys for continuing to come back and watching us. You can, if you want to submit a story or you have a tale to tell, just go ahead and submit it either in our, you can do it on our website or you can do it via email. Again, we also have the audio that is linked in our website and also on our information page that you will see at the end of this video. You can find us on visuals all over YouTube, and you can find us a lot of our shorts and stuff are on Instagram and TikTok, but you can also listen to us in your car on your way to work, on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and any other platform, honestly. So again, we thank you and we hope you enjoy your week.
Enjoy your week.
Bye.